a video, a call to gather. Truckers, but also regular citizens, mothers and fathers, the workers, people who were hungry and angry, to whom nobody was listening. The woman made a sweeping gesture, triumphant. The Gilets jaunes were gathered not only here, but outside of Paris as well. Partout, partout. Vous voyez, madame, she cried. She spoke even faster, and Minnow listened carefully, but understood only the disdain, anger, sorrow. The woman interrupted herself when the man beside her started to shout a rhythmic phrase. She picked up the chant with swift efficiency, and all at once everyone was shouting it, creating the effect that had drawn Minnow in the first place, that of total concentrated synchronicity. Macron, démission! Macron, démission! Glancing around, Minnow gave up estimating how many were present. Even as the crowd shuffled forward, it joined itself to yet another mass of bodies creeping along the avenue ahead, and the confluence forced all movement to a standstill. Even ground to a halt, the crowd was like a great machine, coordinating all its parts. People shouted and chanted and greeted each other. La Marseillaise started playing, coming from an unknown direction. After a few moments of bobbing on tiptoe, trying to see over the shoulders in front of her, Minnow grabbed the side of the nearest lamppost and pulled herself up onto the narrow metal lip where the lamp's wide base narrowed into its pole. Wedging her sneakers into the metal furrows, she clutched the pole tightly to keep from slipping and stared out over the crowd. She realized for the first time that she had emerged onto the Champs-Élysées, the long avenue leading up to the Arc de Triomphe. Turning to look in all directions, she made out the metal and glass bulge of the Grand Palais in the distance, and farther still, rising up on the opposite bank, the delicate lace of the Eiffel Tower. The large marionettes were approaching down the aisle of the avenue, and people moved aside to make room. Lady Liberty beckoned with her long arms, torn bedsheet streamers floating from her wrists. The wind buffeted her, forcing the puppeteer to move side to side, laughing as he tried to keep her upright. Minnow saw that he was a young man in a leather jacket with the collar turned up, dark hair falling into his eyes in messy tangles. He was almost directly beneath her now, his face upturned. She lowered her chin, and as their eyes met unexpectedly, Minnow realized with a jolt that she recognized him. It was Charles Vernier. Charles was a fellow teacher at the university where Minnow worked. He had only recently graduated from it himself. Minnow reassured herself that this was why the students all loved him. He had been one of them not so long before. It irked her how much they adored him, students who were impassive and unimpressed in her own classes, who intimidated her a little bit with their European sophistication. She imagined that they looked down on her as a boring, nearly middle-aged, middle-aged American woman who had appeared after their semester had already begun, to cover literature classes they didn't particularly care for. Charles, on the other hand, exuded cool. He was in the communication and media department, which sounded much more au courant than simple, stuffy English lit. When he taught, he rested one narrow, blue-jeaned ass cheek on his desk, long legs sprawled out, and the students hung on his every word. Passing his classroom once, she had seen this, the girls who had packed the front row to bat their eyelashes at him, the boys as well. Her students sat in the back and couldn't be lured any closer. The other teachers said Charles's family name, Vernier, as if Minnow might recognize it. This told her that he was not only wealthy, he was aristocratic. Even worse, Charles had the good fortune to be attractive, which irritated Minnow the most of all his sins. How devoted would his students be, she asked herself, if he were middle-aged, middle-class, and ferociously ugly? Though she had met him briefly at a faculty welcome dinner and seen him from time to time in the halls, they had never spoken. She had felt as if she'd never registered for him, a state that she was sensitive to, as she was often overlooked. Her quietness, her stillness, her way of folding herself into herself so that eyes would go right past her. These things were her fault, she knew, and it had only become worse since the incident at her previous job, after which she had been fired. This was how she thought of it, the incident.